So we're going to do two dishes. One is the ceviche tostada, which is not a common thing because usually ceviche is by itself. A tostada is usually with something cooked on top. But we're going to combine the two. We've done it before, and it's one of Aaron's favorites, so we're going to do it again. And then the other one is just a New England lobster roll. There's nothing better. No one really makes a correct one down here, and especially with spiny lobster. There's a couple of things that you have to do to kind of make it taste like a New England one to the spiny lobster, but we'll get to that after. First thing I want to do is actually make the ceviche and get it in the fridge because that has to cure with the lemon and lime juice. So I'm going to take this off so I don't get a bunch of raw fish on it and have to deal with that for the rest of the week.
So it was probably about 1.5 years ago when I first started my channel. I think I only had 500 subscribers. Will made the lobster roll for me, and I've never in my life had not even a New England lobster roll, let alone a spiny lobster roll, and it absolutely blew my mind. It's one of the recipes. We did do it a long time ago. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of subscribers. I personally asked him to do this one. It is my favorite. If you live in Florida, if you come down and visit here, you have to try this one. You will never look at spiny lobster the same. It's absolutely unreal. But let him dive in. We're gonna start the ceviche here.
So the first thing, dice up our fish. So I don't really go by measurements. I go a lot by eye. And I want my fish to be my main ingredient, obviously. And then from there, I can kind of tell how much red onion and everything else we're gonna put in. Something I do like to do with my ceviche down here is to add fruit to it. Not a lot of people do that. So some of the things down here that are grown here, one of them being star fruit. So we're going to put that in our ceviche. And you have your sour from your lime and lemon, and then your onion gives that little bit of bite. The fruit for me adds tartness. So it's another element, and depending on what you put in is another texture. So on top of the star fruit, we're going to put in pomegranate seeds. And I saved you watching me clean a pomegranate because that's the most tedious task. If you've ever done it, you know.
I don't think I've ever had that. The pomegranate seeds in there? I don't believe so.
I could see for some people it might even be a little bit annoying. I like the texture of them, the crunch of them.
Yeah.
But
and I actually have that conversation with a lot of people. The mangrove versus yellowtail thing. A lot of people swear by yellowtail. Yellowtail is delicious. I'm not saying it's not. I have eaten more yellowtail than most people ever will in a lifetime. But there's something about the dog snappers and the mangroves that I feel like the fish itself naturally has a flavor. I don't know if there's any science behind that or if that's actually true. Yellowtail to me is a little more bland than a dog or a mangrove.
I agree. It almost has, yeah, it just doesn't have... I eat fish because I like fish.
Yeah.
I like the taste of fish. And so, I don't know. You guys can see about how much fish is here.
Put that much onion.
Put that much onion. It's probably about a quarter of what's there. Now, so this is the other thing too. Aaron and I both like spicy. Not over the top, not... I do tend to cook a little bit spicy, so these peppers I'm not going to clean out the pith or the seeds. I'm going to leave them in for that bit of spice. Tipsy, if you eat that, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah, you don't want that.
And I think the other thing about ceviche that I really, really enjoy and really love about it is that there is no wrong ceviche. You can put avocado in it, you can put cucumber in it, tomato, whatever you want, and it's not wrong. That's why it's great. There's certain things though, like if you do add cucumber and tomato, do them after, because what's going to happen is that the acid is going to break down the cucumber and it's going to release a lot of water. And then your acid's not going to be as potent, and you're going to find that your fish just doesn't cure. I've made that mistake before and realized what it was. So I have my pepper in there.
You just taught me something of why my ceviche sometimes isn't good. I put the pepino in there, but I put it in there early.
Yep.
I don't know if it's the same. I mean, it holds water just like a regular cucumber does, but I probably pronounced that wrong. Is that how you say it? Pepino?
Yeah.
The seedless ones?
Yep. And now my starfruit, which again, if you've never had starfruit, if you're watching this somewhere else in the country and don't know what this is, it has almost the flavor of a kiwi. You can eat the skin and everything. It's a citrus fruit that grows down here. Like you can, well, you shouldn't, but you can steal them off people's yards.
I was going to ask you where you stole this one from. I didn't want to say it.
But yeah, these grow down here, and they really are a unique flavor. So like I said, it's not sour, it's tart. It's a whole different flavor profile for the ceviche.
This is coming together.
Oof. You know those limes that they look like limes, but they're imposters?
Yeah.
You get one drop out of it. I think that's one.
I was talking to Madeline about that the other day.
That one's not too bad.
I think I've got some extra over there in the veggie or the fruit bowl.
I don't know that there's anything worse when you get those limes and you cut them open.
It's like when you squeeze it and it's the turkey from National Lampoons. It's like poof, just air comes out.
Yeah. So if you make something, I mean, this is probably my 500th bowl of ceviche being made. And, you begin to know what you need and what it's supposed to look like.
Bada boom.
There we go. No seeds.
Hey.
All right. Never you mind.
What the hell's going on? No seeds.
That was pretty lucky. All right. Last but not least, the cilantro. And now, the other important thing too, to kind of get the fish and everything cooking and things on their way, add salt. And you would be surprised just how much salt you could add. That you wouldn't notice it, and people wouldn't say, "Oh, this is salty." That's another thing that people do. They don't put any salt in their ceviche.
Oh wow!
With the pomegranate and the cilantro, it looks a little Christmassy.
Dude, presentation alone looks amazing. It kind of does. It looks good though.
So what I'm looking for when I say that I cook by sight is that obviously I want my fish to be the main thing that you see, but I want to be able to see when it's all stirred up a little bit of all the ingredients, the onion being the second thing that's the most of there. And then of course the pepper, depending on how spicy you like it. I want to see a lot of pepper. But so looking at this, and that starfruit isn't there to take over the dish. It's just so like every couple of bites you get, if you had a big spoonful, like I just want to see 1 or 2 pieces of starfruit, but mostly. So that's the way that I cook, is really by ratios.
All right, so if you ever only listen to one thing that I tell you, you have to try these lobster rolls. I make Will make them all the time because they're literally my absolute favorite.
So there's a couple of tricks to the spiny lobster. So I am partial to Maine lobster. I'm from New York. Spiny lobster to me is a much different animal. The meat's a little more tough. It actually, to me, doesn't have as much flavor as a Maine lobster, but this is how we're gonna get around that. So Maine lobster rolls, you steam the lobster and then you pick it, mix it with your ingredients and put it in a lobster roll. So what I found with these is that if you boil them, not steam them, not bake them, but if you boil them with, oh, you did me dirty on this.
I don't know how long it's been in there. We don't use regular salt.
Well, my point is a lot of sea salt in your water. If I can get this out.
So you need a hammer?
In 40 minutes, we'll have this ready. There we go.
That was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. So lots and lots of salt.
A lot of salt. You're basically making seawater. So, what is that? A cup of salt to a gallon? Something like that. I learned that in my sea salt video. Yeah. So you want to do at least a cup to a gallon of water. I'm going to go even more. But this is one way that we can get that salt into the lobster rather than steaming them, because we're going to be mixing it with a little bit of mayo, some lemon. I mean, we will add salt later, but it's better to get the salt to permeate the meat. Now, these I'm going to drop in, and you don't want to drop them all in at once because that'll lower your boil. So you do one, wait for it to come back up, do your next one. And now we're gonna let those cook for 9 minutes. 9 minutes exactly, so 7:54. 9 minutes exactly, we'll pull them out, we're gonna put them in an ice bath to stop them from cooking, and then we're gonna crack them open, chop them up, mix them with our other ingredients, and then we'll make the rolls. So we're at 9 minutes, out of the pot. What would you say the size is of those lobsters? So down here we get kind of uniform lobster, like occasionally you'll get a monster, but for the most part, they're kind of uniform in size.
I think your average lobster is a pound.
A pound, so yeah, 9 minutes.
14 ounces to a pound.
I've found that 9 minutes is the perfect time for ours down here. So if you do have spiny lobster down here, 9 minutes, they're perfect. So these got to cool down, and then we'll break them open. So our lobster tails properly iced down, and now I'm going to show you a trick too. If you roll them up into a ball, and then push down and pull apart, they come right out.
Voila.
Cooked perfect.
Uh-oh.
That 9 minutes is absolutely perfect. So this is gonna seem really, really simple, and a lot of the best recipes are just that, they're simple. But it's the small steps you take to elevate that recipe that will put them a little higher up. And one of those things is what we just did with salting the water that aggressively. This lobster tastes amazing. I should probably taste a piece just to prove that. Yes.
Spot on.
Oh yeah. So now, our minimal ingredients for a New England lobster roll. So a Connecticut lobster roll is hot, and that's when it's hot with butter. You could take this, melt butter in a pan, heat it up, toss this really quick, and then put it on the roll, and that's a Connecticut roll. This is a New England roll, and these are cold, and a lot of people ruin them with way, way too much mayo. And I'm gonna show you how to properly mayo it in a second.
That's impressive.
So celery.
I can't even do that.
Very, very little celery. I mean, that was half a stalk for 4 tails. Because celery is actually a pretty strong flavor. So you just want a couple pieces in there. Then is that how you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or wait, no, flip it upside down.
Flip
Yeah, I think
that
it's that
upside.
way. Yeah,
Aha.
I believe so. Oh yeah, that's it.
All right, so half a lemon for that. Now, this is the important part. The mayo for 4 tails, that is it. We just want the mayo to coat the lobster so that it sticks together, not to where you're seeing the mayo, like you want the lobster to just look shiny. That's it. Otherwise, it's like tuna fish salad. It's too much, and people do that on purpose to stretch out the lobster because lobster is expensive. So if you go to a place and it's just absolutely riddled with mayonnaise, it's because they're trying to stretch it out. All right, you try a piece and tell me if it's...
Oh my god, it's still so moist. It hadn't hit that stage yet where you think it's spiny lobster, where it's still chew. That's like you said, like rubber, like chewy.
Yeah. So some people, a lot of the traditional lobster rolls, they'll put a little bit of tarragon in there. That has a bit of a licorice flavor. We're not going to do that. We're just going to leave it that simple, that good. Now here is the other. This is the crucial step to making a New England lobster roll.
This is key. Trust me, I tried it and I screwed these up and they weren't the same.
All right, so you need top split hot dog buns. And the reason why you want the top split is so that these two sides are open, because we are going to put butter in the skillet and toast these on either side.
And you actually sliced some of the sides off that aren't exposed, right?
Yeah, the ones that were all the way to the end.
That was the mistake I made, is I didn't. You can see you slice the side. You want open bread and not crust.
But this is
key, trust me.
This is key.
Oh, I'm in the way.
But I butter not only the skillet, but then both sides of the roll too.
Madeline would be so proud.
So this is another reason that we put a little bit of lemon on the lobster, and one of the reasons that not that much mayo, because I want to get the richness from the butter, which is to me a little bit more of a natural ingredient than the mayo. And this is going to add, I mean, lemon, butter, and lobster are just a marriage in heaven. So this is pretty much doing that, and it's going to be very, very rich without all that mayo on it.
Now, is it ideal to do it in a cast iron?
Yes.
Does it matter? Okay.
I mean, any pan that you could toast in, but if you were to toast these in the oven, you wouldn't get the same.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
All right, we won't bore you with those browning, but trust me, in a couple minutes they'll be toasted and brown, and then we'll make our rolls. So we have our buttery toasted buns that are still warm. That's another key. You can't wrap these up and save them for later. My hands are clean. And I think in true New England style, you should pack these to the point of where they're difficult to eat.
So true.
Like load them up. Don't be shy. I think that's one of the joys of fishing for your own stuff too, because, or hunting or providing any of your own food, is that you could go over the top with it if you want. Like this right here, I don't even want to know what that would cost you in New York City. it's way too much.
It is true though. I definitely agree with that. Again, listen to me. You have to try these. If you come down here mini season.
Oh.
Oh my god. Of all the things Will's made me, this is top 3.
And there's nothing to it.
It's so simple. I mean, you see what he puts in there: mayo,
that's
salt,
the funniest part. And
lemon, celery.
It's not killing it with mayo. Like you want that lobster. You want the lobster to be up front and center, and the other things are just there to accompany the lobster, like the lemon and the butter and everything else. That's not to cover anything up. And when people put all of that mayo in there, you're killing the lobster. Like this was alive when we were out 6 hours ago.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it doesn't need mayo all over it. So for our tostadas, this is the base. We just have a corn tortilla, not flour. Anytime I'm frying a tortilla, I do like the corn. It gives it a better flavor than the flour. I'm not against flour tortillas. I know that's a big debate. But
It most certainly is.
so all you're doing is letting it get golden brown. You're gonna have to flip it a couple of times, but you want to use the tongs so it doesn't puff up because it'll separate and puff up on you. And then when you take it out, throw it on a paper towel and you put a little bit of salt on. And the reason why is because then the salt is going to pull the excess oil out.
I've actually never done this. I'm learning new things.
But yeah, so your oil has to be hot so that when it hits, immediately starts cooking the tortilla. Otherwise, the tortilla is going to act like a sponge and just suck all that oil up, and that's going to be disgusting. We have our freshly fried tostadas. Now I'm going to chop up some garlic, and we're going to make our beans. I'm not against canned beans. In fact, Goya is like one of the best products. I like a lot of garlic. So everything built down, so our base is going to be the beans and the tostada. So that's going to be very earthy, very, very rich. And then as you get further up is going to be a little bit of lettuce just to carry the ceviche. And then the ceviche itself, which is going to be very, very bright and citrus, and it's going to cut through all the richness. So let that brown a little bit. Or a lot of it. All right, we got our garlic browns. Now in with our beans.
Oh God.
Now I drained most of the liquid out of there. Not all of it, but most of it. But what I am gonna do now, let that cook a little bit. And then the spice that I use for it is a fajita spice. So some of them are just the spices. This one is the fajita spice and salt, so I'm not gonna add salt. But if you just did like onion powder, garlic powder, I would add a little bit of salt to this too. But this one, I think we learned that lesson last time. This one has salt in it, so I did this and salt, and it was salty. So now to that, I'm gonna add about a half a can of water. And then I'm just gonna start mashing. I actually have a tostada episode coming up, and I don't have a nifty masher, so I just used a pint glass, which you can use.
Oh my God.
Hey, use what you got. But you're gonna mash these down, and then you're gonna cook them down until they're a paste. Now, I don't want everything broken up completely, but maybe like half mashed. A couple of whole beans in there isn't a bad thing. But you let it cook down, and taste it as you go. So as that reduces, it's also gonna get saltier. So don't add too much salt at once in the beginning. Do it as you go. So I'm gonna finish mashing this, bring it up to a boil. This is gonna take about maybe like 10-15 minutes to cook, and then we're ready to make our tostadas. So we cooked down our black beans. You basically want to cook them down to about like refried bean status. These are a little bit loose. I could cook them down more, but we need to eat. So we'll live. But, oh, actually the other things that we're gonna need, I do like a little bit of lettuce. And then these tostadas, I'm not making any salsa or anything to put on top of them because honestly, it doesn't need it at all. Couple of slices of jalapeno just in case, but as you guys saw, I have an entire red jalapeno inside the ceviche, but I got a feeling Aaron's still gonna put some on there. And then just some avocado. And again, why making it in your own house is fun is that the avocado is not extra. It's included. So the other thing is take a look at our ceviche. So it started curing. It's not cured all the way through. Personally, I like ceviche the next morning when it's completely cured all the way through. But this, again, we're really showcasing the dog snapper. So it's gonna be kind of raw, almost in the middle still, like a medium rare. But a little bit of lettuce on there. And the reason why I put the lettuce, honestly, it's also because the beans are hot, this is cold, that's cold, separates the two, so our beans aren't going to cook our ceviche at all. Probably should have used a spoon. But,
Nah.
just me.
Oh man.
That is it. A couple of cilantro leaves, and there you go.
Holy moly.
We have our dog snapper ceviche tostada. I'm gonna let Aaron take this bite.
I'm gonna do the honors. Probably gonna need. Oh man. Gotta get it all in there. Oh my god. You can taste the star fruit and everything. So balanced, little spice. This is one of my favorites too. Holy crap.